It's very important you be careful about that. So my take is a little different. Is every single one of us a miracle? No. Some of us are a true burden to society. Some of us, a lot of us say, you know what, lock up and throw away the key. Is that a miracle? You see, we're too quick to try to so inclusive that we add everybody into everything all the time. And you know what? Those of us who really work hard and strive to be what that definition of that particular word consists of, king, queen, mother, father, whatever it is, we throw all of that down the drain. We throw it all away because everybody is that. If everybody's first place, then what really is the value of the gold trophy? I digress. My mic is muted. Rock out.
Can always count on Smitty to be profound.
If anybody else want to build, go ahead.
I think that we have to be extremely careful with our perception of things. So if one is holding a standard, these people are not walking miracles. And I already laid out to Tammy. I said I think people should believe that. However, we have to teach our children strategy, that everyone is not going to see them as that. So the people who don't see them as such, they are holding themselves in a superior pedestal. They see themselves as superior because who are they to tell someone that they're not a walking miracle if that's what they believe they are? What the perception of something is your internal perception of it based on your own reality. But your own reality isn't the only reality that exists. So that's all I'll say. We have to be careful about casting judgment and putting ourselves on a pedestal, thinking that we can judge whether someone is a walking miracle or not, or whatever they want to call themselves.
This is where I'm going to chime in, is that I feel as though the lady in the video herself says, as long as you're not, she said, as long as you have this perception of yourself and you don't let outside influences bring you down. And I've been saying this throughout the evening, what you do, what you say, how you act, you can set forth a positive influence to somebody else. Am I a walking miracle? I don't know. I know that I feel positive about myself. I know that I like the person who I am. And I know when I try to put forth a message that I want to put forth a positive message. And if that positive message would influence somebody into doing the right thing, that is a miracle.
All right. So I'll say this to that briefly. If you yourself, and you work extremely hard to get to a certain status in life, right? So for example, let's say this, which it does happen every day. You work so hard and you get to a state of wealth. You're actually rich. You're in the category of rich / wealthy. And now here it is. You got people who barely scratch 10 G's a year, 20 G, barely scratch that a year, saying that they're on the same level as you. You know what I noticed about life? Watch this. So me as a chef, right? And I won't be long-winded. What I peeped is that if you notice with restaurants, because I've worked in some, I've been in that career field over 20 years. If you notice, don't you know all those fancy restaurants that all the women love to go to? The ones that all the guys complain about paying for in these spaces. Do you ever see commercials for them? No. But you'll see Wendy's, you'll see Applebee's, Outback, you'll see the regular all day. When you talking about that really up, honestly, I think I've seen one or two, but I don't think really I've even seen a Roof Chris commercial. And that's not even like top notch. That's like, yeah, you did it, but that ain't all the way. The point in which I'm speaking of is when we're talking about the perception of how we look at, this whole, are we miracles? Are we this and that? The reason why those restaurants are considered in the category in which they are is because they're not on the same level, atmosphere, quality of food, hospitality, everything is elevated. So all I'm saying is, would you really take a certified 5-star restaurant and put that in the same category as a drive-through? Would you really try to convince your date, hey, look, no, it's just your perception? Or are you going to get endless word about, no, I know what I'm seeing and this is not what it is? Because it has a category. See, there are things that we do, us as men, we take time to make sure that we separate ourselves. We put ourselves in a certain category of life. Why? Because you don't want to be thrown in with the rest. That's why I make very clear, I do not in any form of fashion except being thrown in with the rest, although I am a part of the collective and I never separate myself. I speak on behalf of us, but I know in the whole of us, I'm still my own individual. I'm me and my thoughts are mine. Underneath this hat is a 1-seater and yours should be too. Don't nobody think for you. So watch this. Are you a miracle? If you want to call yourself that, look, I'm a king in my own right. But when I step out into society and I'm amongst all other kings, do I really rule? Or am I amongst other greatness like myself? I digress. My mic is muted. Rock out.
And no offense, but actually, no, I don't give a fuck. That is the problem with black people right there. You just juxtaposition a miracle, which is a spiritual idea, to capitalism. And we just had this whole show talking about, he was showing his videos, Mr. Best in the World, showing videos of different ways that black people were trying to combat ideals of oppression, which stem from a hierarchical structure that black people have been on the bottom of for a long time, based on ideals that you, Smitty, just projected. You want to say you don't want to be thrown in with the rest? That's exactly what the house nigga said. And the house nigga didn't even get a good deal.
Thank you for that. Much respect. Lake, after I was finished speaking, just quick question. Whatever it is you might have not really comprehended or got where I was coming from with it, did you ask me what I meant? Or did you just jump off and say, I'm talking about capitalism? First of all, did I speak anything about capitalism? The only reason why I'm saying this right now is because this is what happens often in these spaces. Somebody just simply expresses their thoughts. And because we don't know that person, we don't get that person, before we try to learn that person and ask that person questions, we'll just lash out at that person. I want you to continue on your lash out, sir. You got the floor.
And see, you see it as a lashing out. I see it as a exchange of ideas. And because we're both grown adult men, like you said, you're a grown man, a king of your own right? I'm expecting you to be at a certain intellectual level to where you can hear my ideas, no matter how much passion I exude behind the words, and just tell me what you actually meant. Instead of just assuming, wait, I didn't cut you off. Cut you off. Wait, I'm gonna land the plane. I didn't cut you off. I'm gonna land the plane. I'll let you speak. I just want to say this, right? Okay. To assert this idea that your example wasn't an example of capitalism when you use the supply and demand example in reference to restaurant chains is disingenuous because that is a capitalistic example when you're juxtapositioning to something like a miracle, which is something spiritual. So that's a fact. Now, if you meant something else, you can just tell me that. But don't hide behind this idea that I'm attacking you because you don't appreciate the intellectual level I projected. You can go ahead.
Much respect. Cool beans. So let's hone in and let's focus. All right. So I'm gonna take my highlighter marker and that fine print you just said. Tell you what I meant. The very thing I just said in my opening statement and your response to what you said to me initially was you could ask me. You never asked me. You just jumped out and said, I'm talking about capitalism. So you just turned around. You just said, Smitty, you can just tell me. Anybody up here who knows, especially the top two people on this, anybody who up here knows me and knows this face and knows this symbol right here knows, you can just ask me a question. I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you on the front end and the back end. All right. So I want you to pay very close attention. Play the tape back for yourself. You never asked me. You just jumped off and assumed I was speaking about something I was not talking about.
I made a claim that you were actually referencing capitalism. So if you weren't, clear it up and tell us what you were actually referencing. But the example you used was supply and demand.
Hold on. That man allowed you to speak. Right, you gotta let this.
Oh, you're right. No, you're right. Go ahead. You're right. My bad. Go ahead.
Then I know. Our elders in the building. I'm definitely gonna give respect to him. But Smitty, go ahead and rock, bro. You know what it is.
All right. So during that whole, it was just very easy. So you told me that, you said, tell you what I mean. No problem. So I was literally in the process of saying it right then and there as you cut me off. So getting to what I was saying to land it so we can go ahead and let the brother Vaughn and whoever else, brother Ferg or Alkaline, whoever tag in. You were saying, hey, you need to go ahead and just express yourself. What do you mean by that? What I mean is this. The restaurants that are not on commercial, it's because they are separated by quality. I was talking nothing about money. I'm talking about how you stand out from the rest. The analogy and the mode and the direction in which I was going into was about how you separate yourself. Everybody else is on the commercials. Everybody else got a drive-through, extra napkins, and they charge you 50 cents for more sauce. But when you go to this place right here, the quality of food, atmosphere, everything is different. And it's so different to the point where they don't even advertise themselves. Now, let's take it to the dating stage. Do you really think that you're going to get the best quality woman generally on dating apps? Or do you think really we kind of meet those people unsuspectingly just one day and it just clicks? See, so that's what I'm saying. That extra, the restaurant I'm talking about, that higher, right? That's not advertised. AKA the people that's truly of quality. We're not the places where you most meet other people. The clubs, everywhere else, dating apps, clubs, all of these big, huge places, you're not going to find the best quality people because we stay hidden. That is what I meant. I wasn't talking nothing about no capitalism. Now, next time you pierce your lips, ask me before you just jump off and assume. And I promise you, my brother, I will ask you before I just assume anything. I digress. My mic is muted. Rock out.
Okay. Well, thank you for elaborating.
Hold on. Wait. My brother Smitty just said something profound, right? And I would be wrong if I did not chime in. Darkly, I'm letting you go right after, then we're gonna go to Mr. Bryant. And this is why I spend a lot of my time in solitude, because I have a lot of value, as well as Smitty has a lot of value. Coach has a lot. All the people that is on here, Alkaline, Mr. Bryant, you Darkly, we have a lot of value. So a lot of time when you have a lot of value, we stay hidden because we see the things of this world and how it's moving, and we know that if we are subjected to these things, that it could potentially destroy us, right? Or it could make us, sacrifice and risk our freedom. You feel what I'm saying? And we don't want to do that, right? Ain't nobody trying to spend no time in jail. So with that being said, or worse, try to take somebody's life. With that being said, man, I understand exactly what Smitty is saying. I feel a lot of the same sentiments as well. Dark Lady, you can definitely chime in, Mr. Brian, and after that, I'm closing and we getting up out of here, y'all.
I think this highlights, I'm just keeping it real quick. I think this highlights the problem in our community, right? Things are taken personally when they shouldn't be, right? And when your ideal is being challenged and someone says a fact, your juxtaposition in capitalism to something spiritual, which is a miracle. That's exactly what Smitty did. Not saying that his example didn't have some validity after he elaborated further on it, which he wouldn't have done if I didn't challenge to do that. But instead of just elaborating, he's throwing out claims of me attacking him because I am eloquently illustrating my challenge toward him. That is the problem with the Black community. White people, all different types of demographics of people, they do these shows, they challenge each other, it gets heated, but it's not this person thinks he's better because he's saying something I'm not saying and blah, 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 blah. Why don't you just ask me? Or how about you just skip me asking you the question and just say what it is after I challenge you? You don't need to ask me or any other Black person, why won't you just ask me? We don't have to ask you. We have we got an impression off of what you say. We retort with a challenge or a synopsis of what we believe you are saying. Then you can then interject and say, actually, this is what I meant. That is the correct way to do it, to how we can actually progress. But we can't progress because everybody's trying to be the man and everybody wants to say, those are those people over there and these are these people over here. And I want to be seen as quality. So I want to stay away from those people over there so I can be the restaurant. So I can be the restaurant that doesn't have to advertise.
That's right. Absolutely.
Okay, and this whole scenario is capitalism and supply and demand. That is my point. I'm not saying that you are an idiot. I'm not saying you're even wrong. I'm just literally illustrating a fact in the example that you use, which is capitalism, which is what I think is the catalyst of the videos that Mr. Best in the World was showing earlier in the show. When Farrakhan was going back and forth on that. I don't know if it was Phil Donahue or what show that was, but that's what I'm saying. So just go ahead. Somebody else was trying to go, but
Brother Vaughn again. I swear I'm gonna keep this real short. I'm gonna have a heart to heart with you, right? Like real talk, just me and you, man to man, right? I am one of those. When I do this, I mean that. It's not just to be cool or nothing. I really mean third eye open. I see not only into but through most of y'all. You are one of them, sir.
Really?
Just listen. That right there. Your mode is, your whole MO is to create some kind of like, I gotta go back and forth. Your mode is not to listen, to receive. Your mode is to listen, to throw back. That is why you regurgitate more than you listen. Because see, I wouldn't have even had to explain. You wouldn't have even had to say, hey man, could you break that down to me? Because if you were listening to receive and absorb information, we would never have been here in the first place, sir. See, this is what happens when you get to that level of wisdom and discernment. Discernment is to decide. Know when to decide when to speak and know to decide when to just listen. It's a balance in all of these things. Okay? So I just want you to take that with you home. That's it. You can respond however you do, whatever you do. I rest in peace with this.
And you know what? I'll take that home with me. Right? I listened to what you just said, and I'll take that home with me. I would like you to take something home with you too. Right? Also consider the fact that maybe you just haven't talked to someone as smart as me before. Maybe that's why when you say something that seems to not make sense, like juxtaposition in capitalism with a miracle, and maybe when you said something like that before, people haven't challenged you because maybe they aren't brave enough, or maybe they're not smart enough to challenge you on a point that they feel doesn't make sense. So just because a person like me, a man like me, is brave enough to challenge you on that, doesn't mean that I am trying to be a contrarian. Just to go back and forth for the sake of doing it. No, I was challenging you on your point, and I'm not going to feel bad about that. And if you were the man you say you are, then you would accept the challenge since it's your point.
Mm-hmm.
Don't critique me on how I challenged you, that I should have asked you. No, I challenged you. So defend your point. That's because that's what men do. Men defend their points. And I'm not gonna apologize for that.
No. And I never asked you for one. I don't expect it. It's discernment. Listen, right? You brought up the fact of what I should have said. And one thing that I know is when you assume, because see, you just jumped out and was saying, this is what I mean by what I say. So watch this, right? Watch this, Dark Lake. And no, you know what? I've never talked to anybody as smart as you before. Never in my life. And you know what it's
that's great. I'm happy you admitted that. Hey, no lie, my phone is at 1%. My phone is at 1%, Smitty. I'm not cutting you off. I'm sorry. But I got to bounce, Mr. Best Nowhere. My phone's at 1%. But you can continue. I listen to what you're saying. I'll keep listening, okay? Go ahead.
Yeah. That might be better. Man, look, God works wonderful. Look at that 1%, perfect timing. So, me, as people know, I was ran over by a train.
Look at that.
I don't walk around here talking about I'm a miracle. I was ran over by a whole train, CSX. My face was drug on splintered wood and stone. I ain't lose no teeth, and I'm not paralyzed. I can talk about being miracles. I could talk about you're looking at a miracle, but I don't. You know what I say? I'm a man who was given another chance and I was given respite. That's it, because I humble myself. So listen, to anybody who don't get where I'm coming from when I say no, because you know what? I've never called myself a miracle, but you know what? Many people have when I tell them my story. So for those of you who don't know, you're talking to a man who was ran over by a train only 2 years ago. And I still walk. I can go all into miracle all night. I could have came up here and boasted. Don't play with me on this. Respect to you all. I digress. My mic is muted.
Oh, man.